Don't let them in my soul. Don't let them in my soul. Don't let them.
Alright guys, so I'm creating this video today because I'm going over the backlash behind the whole Robin becoming out as bisexual. And not even just that, just in general what comic book industry could take from anime and how they incorporate sexuality. So recently Robin, I believe it's Tim Drake, he came out as bisexual, which most people were really mad about. He's been around for almost 50 years. And in the comic books, he was known for sleeping, he was known for being the man. He was messing with Stephanie Brown, which is one of the, was it former Robins. I believe she became orphan later on. And a lot of people was like, this was out of left field. Until I watched Comet Drake's video about Robin's always been bisexual, except he just recently came out the closet, which his relationship with Connor Kent, which is Superboy, the clone. No, not Jonathan Kent, Superman's actual son, but the clone. So then it got me thinking, like, all right, when you develop characters and their sexuality, it doesn't matter if, honestly, I don't think people have a problem with him being bisexual. It's just the fact is, today's growing trend is, let's try to appeal to this group, and let's keep trying to appeal to them, even though, let's be honest, a lot of them don't read the comic books. A lot of the gay community don't read the comic books. So, it's like what they did with Iceman. Out of nowhere, Iceman's gay, and it's like, there's nothing in the comics alluding to that. Now, with anime, it's very different because the fact is, like, in anime, for example, a comic got killed. They have a character named Balat. Now, Balat, if you look at him, he's a very masculine man. First meet him, badass. You think he's bad. You found he's gay. But then from there, that's not just his whole character. That's just part of his character, which I never had a problem with. I thought he was actually really cool. One of my favorite characters in anime. So, and it was like one of those things where they challenged masculinity, where there was like, even, very, very attractive men that women would find attractive could be that way, which is completely fine. But when you just make a character's sexuality their main story, that's where people lose interest, because it's like, is your sexuality the only thing about you? Is that the only thing about your personality? Which it shouldn't be. And a lot of the time it's forced down your throat rather than letting it develop. Like, for example, in Berserk, pretty famous anime. Most people, it's been around for years. But there's parts in there where the main characters, Griffith and Guts, they kind of allude to the fact that they have like more than a best friend relationship, but it never comes out like that. You never get confirmation. But because of that, it makes it more interesting, because it does make you question, well, do they love each other as best friends, or is it more? And it makes it more interesting, because then it develops into the character where it makes you more intrigued. Like, I want to know what's going on with these guys. And a lot of the time they just straight throw in your face, well, this character's gay and that's it. And it's like, where's the story development? Why is it only, that's the only trait behind them? Like, for example, I think the best characters in, like, what is it? For example, in DC was Harley and Poison Ivy for me personally, because the fact that you got to see the relationship develop, how, in a way, Harley is a comfort to Ivy, and Ivy is a comfort to Harley, in a sense where Harley has always been abused, so Ivy takes care of her. And even Ivy doesn't relate to other humans, because how she was first portrayed, she was a sex symbol, and what she used to do was control men with her hormones. Later on, they kind of developed her more into being just into plants and stuff like that, and which I like. And then you got to see the relationship develop, where she was so close to the plants, but because Harley's so kind of out of touch with everybody, those two go together very perfectly. And it's not even, and it's like, all right, they're a gay couple, but they have more to them than that. You get to see the psychology behind them, and the fact is why they're drawn to each other. Right now I'm trying to think of other characters, but those are just one of the best ones I feel like in the comics right now. Now with anime, there's a lot of characters where One Piece, for example, has a whole island of transgender people, what is it? One of the strongest characters is it really actually has a power, a devil fruit, where they're able to turn in from man to a woman and increase other people's hormones and make them look, like a man or woman. Which I never thought was weird. I thought it was like a cool power. Like, all right, that's cool, because they don't make because in how they look at it is nakamas. Other than the fact that how they act and dress, they have a whole backstory to them. It's not just, well, this is all I am. No. If anything, it makes them more interesting, and it makes you like the fact that they're so embracive of that character. But when you try to stuff stuff down people's throat and make it sexuality the only thing about them, it's boring. It's like, that's like me, like, oh, I'm a straight man, so stories about me being a straight man. What makes me any more special than anybody else because that's what I choose? Nothing. You have to have a backstory with everything and make it compelling. And a lot of these like comic book artists are just lazy and they're going based off the trend. Like even like when Black Panther first came out, all of a sudden it was like a trend, all black superheroes. Then Captain Marvel. Then what is it? When Captain Marvel and what else came out? Wonder Woman. It was like, oh, power to feminism. Like if that's all there is to the character, how's it gonna appeal to everyone? You know what I mean? How's it gonna make other people embrace that? Because then you're kind of shutting people out because all you're doing is saying, well, this is the best, and it's like, no, it should be all inclusive, and that's the problem. A lot in the community today is like a lot of people want to be having like special privileges, and instead of looking at the fact is, everybody wants to be included, and we should all be, held at the same equality. No one should be held special or be attacked because of certain views that they have. You know what I mean? Even the baby, for example, said what he said. Some of the stuff I do agree with. Some of the stuff I feel like he could have, kept to himself. But at the same time, it's a freedom of speech. But then all these labels being fake, pulled endorsements from him, stop messing with him. I understand if you're a person that was affected by him personally because of your sexuality, understandable. But there was companies that for years been endorsing things like violence in the black community, but they're pulled because of that, because the fact is there's money in it. Let's be honest. And that's what a lot of people aren't understanding is these comics and comics aren't representing the gay community at all. What they're doing is they're kind of like trying to monetize it in a sense where they're trying to get the money out of it and saying, well, this is a gay character, everybody watch it. That's not gonna do anything. Most people aren't just gonna watch it because of the fact that it's a gay character. They're not. Let's be honest. And then changing iconic characters in order to make them suit a certain demographic is not going to help either. You have to, if anything, make more characters that are gay or transgender or whatever, and make it where the story actually relates to the journey that they're going through, but also where people who aren't of that demographic can understand it too. Not exclude them or chastise them because, oh, they don't completely agree with it. It's fine not to agree with everything. That's the great thing about America. We could disagree with many things, but we also should be able to feel comfortable having in discussions without feeling attacked. Just because you disagree with something doesn't mean that gives people the right to attack you or criticize. You should be open discussion where everybody should feel comfortable and safe. If you can't feel that, how are we ever gonna, be able to accept each other and actually make a better community? Not gonna be able to. So like one thing that the comic book community has to take from anime is the fact is actually make compelling stories, and don't just make the characters completely about sexuality. Make sexuality, that's part of them, but also make it where there's more to them than that. There's more depth. There's more character where you're like, I can relate to this person other than sexuality, and you can include them into a group rather than try to just be like, all right, this is all I am, and anybody else that doesn't agree with it, see you later. Because that's not gonna do anything but make people want to push them away even more, and that's not what we should be doing. We should be embracing each other. So that's my thought on it. I'm not here to offend anybody. I'm not here, to go on a rant where, or hate speech. That's none of that. It's more of you know, a thought that I had about today's demographic where certain things, Marvel tries to go on a trend where they're not really trying to include certain communities. They're just trying to monetize off of them. And that doesn't work. I mean, for example, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, when they first came out with X-Men, X-Men was based off of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. Most people don't know that. But but they did that in a sense where you could understand the topic and not get, triggered by the fact that, all right, it kind of goes against certain communities. It helps you sit there and understand from a different view, just like the movie Avatar. Different view of the blue people, because if you would have made them just humans, you wouldn't be able to relate because you'd be trying to pick a side. When you kind of like see the blue people, you kind of more understanding. Like, we're coming in here and destroying their stuff. It's no different than what we did to the natives, in the past, or any other, or what we're doing to nature itself, So that is just a food for thought. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. Let's have an open discussion. See you guys and have a great day.